Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV. We are back for another preview, and it's the preview to the Spanish Grand Prix, round 4 of the FIA Formula One World Championship of 2021, and round 4 between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. So I will have a guest just joining me in just a sec, but I want everyone to first hit that like button, please. Hit that share button, hit the subscribe button, right? Share it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Let's get people watching. Let's get the F1 community. You know the F1 community, you know everyone in the F1 community. Go and watch it now. I've got Aaron from 5 Red Lights channel. How are you?
I'm good, Stephen. How you doing? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I see you're a Mercedes supporter.
I am. I've got my Mercedes Hamilton hat on. I've actually got a cool little print up here to celebrate his 7 World Championships, which was a nice birthday present for me. So
wicked. I was going to wait until number 8 until he retired and get a sort of a print. I've got about 3 of his signatures somewhere. One of them's a bit rubbed out though, but like one's written on a autograph book. One was given me by a doctor who wrote off to McLaren when he was at McLaren. I was stuck in hospital for 9 months, so he wrote off to the hospital, to McLaren basically, and they got me an autograph, and
that's lovely.
which cheered us up a big time. But obviously, I've been so ill in my life. Still, I rise is a massive motto for me. So
yeah, it's something to live by. That's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. So, but anyway, obviously, he heads the championship going into this Grand Prix by 8 points.
It does.
And it was a very impeccable Grand Prix race. I wouldn't say the weekend. The weekend was a bit out of sorts, to be honest. I would say throughout practice, even qualifying, it didn't seem to come together. And then just the race pace, just again, Hamilton's just an ace when it comes to keeping the tyres in check and being able to deliver the pace out of the Mercedes.
Yeah, it wasn't the Hamilton we've come to know and love, especially on Saturday. The 1 lap pace. He was only beaten by like 7 thousandths though, so he wasn't having as bad an off day. But given the success he's had, you kind of expect him to be on pole position, and anything less than that is, it's almost failure.
With 99 poles, and you expect him 100, yeah. I mean, he's now 97 career race wins, and that's going to be broken at some point this season. Let's be honest. I mean, and it would just be amazing achievement. It'd just be unreal.
I would really like to see him do it at Silverstone. Do both of them at Silverstone.
Wouldn't we all?
It would be the dream.
It would be a dream. Whether we get to see it, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think we will. I think it'd be too late, too early. The Grand Prix would be too early to. But they did say the end of June they might release it all back up. We don't know, but we're talking massive crowds here. We're not talking about 60,000 in the stadium. We're talking about over 100,000 people.
Yeah, so that's over 3 days as well.
Over 3 days, yeah. So, I mean, I went to the last one that we were allowed to in 2019. We did it as an F1 experience package. So we had the podium, the podium, the photo. We had the championship trophies photo where David Croft had like sometime, like we came off the parade track and the parade truck ran the circuit with two ex-drivers, and then David Croft just happened to be where we were taking the photos for the podium, for the championship trophies on the starting grid, right? And I just dragged him into our AF. Just dragged him in. Just said, "Oi, get
in here, Crofty.
Yeah, get in here, Crofty." And it's just funny enough. It did help out a bit because back in November, I messaged him saying, "I'm doing this for charity. I'm not well and things are not going right, but thanks for these photos." And he messaged back. Saying, "Yeah, I hope you're well. I hope you get better soon and good luck with your charity and everything like that." And then March for this charity is big week because the first Friday of March is a Big Yellow Friday, and what we do is Big Yellow Friday is a massive fundraiser for Children's Liver Disease Foundation. So I did an 8-hour stream, so as a fundraiser, and I said I just mentioned it to him, and I just went, "Yeah, okay, I got I got this coming out. And he went, do you want me to come on for an hour? I went, yeah.
Wow,
Why not? And
that's incredible.
he went over. He even spent over an hour on the chatting about F1. The great Murray Walker. It was a week before he passed away as well, and
that was a terrible moment.
Yeah, but you could say he had a good innings. I mean, 99 was the 92, 9 was pretty good, but
he'd achieved so much in his career.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I grew up. I mean, I was very young when he retired. I was about 5, but even I knew who the voice of that voice, or you knew it.
Synonymous with F1.
But anyway, we're here to obviously have the preview for the Spanish Grand Prix, and Red Bull on the back foot really, and they need to come up with an answer very, very quickly. They've brought some more updates for Perez's car. Well, they were testing on Perez's car, whether they put them to Max Verstappen, we'll see. But they really got to respond here with one of the drivers at least.
Yeah, I think it's must win, really, because if you think about it, Hamilton builds momentum, and it can be very difficult to stop, especially with the might of Mercedes behind him. And Bottas, we know, is going to do a solid job as a wingman, even though he hates being called that. So I think Max needs to really at least finish ahead of Hamilton, and that might really mean winning. But today they're on the back foot. Verstappen hasn't got a representative time on the board. I think they'll know kind of whereabouts they are in the pecking order, and they're probably not far away because in practice 1 it was really tight. I think it was a tenth and a bit separating the top 3.
Verstappen was 300ths behind, and Hamilton was 1/10 behind, 1.5 behind. 10.
Yeah, so
1.5 tenths behind. Yeah, so something like that.
Blink and you miss it stuff. So
yeah,
they'll be there or thereabouts. But whether Verstappen does enough to get in front of Hamilton on a track where it's so difficult to overtake, and they've lost that overtaking opportunity into turn 10 as well because of the new profiling for turn 10.
Yeah, do you agree with that? Do you think that's going to make a much of a difference?
I mean, it wasn't a great opportunity for overtaking, but if you were late enough on the brakes and someone was struggling with tires and you were on fresh tires, it was an opportunity to clear traffic, especially with DRS. But I think the bigger issue is the final chicane, and I know we always end up coming back to that. But the stop-start nature of it, if they found a way to perhaps flatten out the penultimate corner and allow them to follow a little bit better through there, removing the chicane, it might work a bit better. But just the fundamental layout of the track doesn't show itself well to overtaking through the middle sector as well.
Yeah. Do you feel that, because obviously they put that chicane in to slow the cars down in back in 2007? I believe it was. Yeah. Do you feel that they should take that off?
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit of a Mickey Mouse chicane. It doesn't really,
because the cars. I mean, obviously we all want everyone to be safe, and we do think it is mainly safe. But you think the cars are so much stronger. They're so much they're more developed in safety. They would be able to take an off like that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if you look at the profiling for turn 10 now this year, they've not actually got that much runoff. So they've put a big gravel trap there because they know the cars are coming in hot. So
I agree with that.
They could take
I agree with that.
Exactly. They should have a gravel trap there. I think I agree with having the tarmac runoff, but I think there needs to be a point where they go, you've used up your get out of jail free.
Yeah.
And now you're in trouble. If you look at Paul Ricard, you can almost not tell where the track is. But then
the amount of times in the game I keep cutting the corners.
Exactly.
So you remember, that chicane that they make out, and it's like all in different directions in the middle of that straight. Right? Yeah. Sometimes I've taken the one too early, sometimes I've taken the one too late, and I've hit the bollards in the front of the thing, and I'm like, where is it? I remember the first time I played it, I'm like, where's the corner? Where is it?
It's back there. You missed it.
Yeah. By which point I've steamed all the way down the escape road. I went back onto the other side of the straight, and I'm like, Oh, there it
Lap
was.
invalidated.
Yeah, lap invalidated. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, Portugal card. I mean, obviously, I mean, they need to put some travel traps there, but that's probably why it's such a boring race, to be honest. It's why it's such a boring race, I think, because apart from having a mechanical failure, you're not going to retire unless someone
no
took
way
you
to
out.
hit a wall.
It's either that or someone takes you out. But
Exactly.
So yeah. So, but yeah, obviously that I definitely always agreed with having a gravel track there. Even when Monza bought that on Parabolica, I was like, what? No, if they get it wrong, they're supposed to be the best drivers in the world. If they get it wrong, they should be punished. So
that's true. But then at the Parabolica, they are coming in really fast, really hot, with really low downforce. With a track like Barcelona, the downforce is much higher.
It's been known for a gravel track to slow the cars down. I mean, it's known to also flip the cars, but it's known to actually kill some of the pace off rather than a one-off.
Yeah, so that's why you can't. You've got to try and come up with like a happy medium of the runoff for tarmac to be really adhesive and slow the car down, and then the gravel or grass brings the car sort of to a safe stop. But then I think what they also want to avoid is positions where they have to safety car or possible red flags and put marshals on the track. I think that's another reason behind it, which unfortunately for us, it doesn't help because a safety car would spice up a few races. You know, if you had some gravel traps at Paul Ricard, someone gets the chicane wrong and they get beached, then you've got to throw a safety car and everything closes back up and things just sort of build up on each other. So you see where those stop-start races, a bit like Mugello last year, it was stop-start and everyone was quite close all the way through, even though it was tricky to overtake, but there was the big run into turn one. So I'm sure if people are close enough,
the turn one, the DRS was hugely powerful. It was really powerful. So there was opportunities to take. I mean, unlike Spain, where you'd have to get out of the first chicane, the last chicane, bang on, and pretty much someone would have to be a bit off traction. I will just say
that's another example.
I will just say, almost like an Arsenal fan, don't mention Arsenal, please. Don't. Just don't.
You don't want to know who I support because it won't be good for you.
Oh God. Go on.
I'm a Chelsea supporter. In stream.
Oh God, you win it again. I'm never gonna be the end of it. Honest to God. Go on. Anyway, we were saying.
I mean, if you look at Mugello, the final corner there is a long final corner where it's tricky to follow. So if you had the old-fashioned final two corners at Barcelona, it could work in a similar way. The amount of drag that the cars produce, and then the DRS effect, it might just be the solution to everyone's problems around Barcelona. And then a few gravel traps.
Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, like you said, I mean, I don't mind saying like a get out of jail free card, but then you get to a point is where like, yeah, all right, mate, you've done a bit too much now. Bye. Out of the ways. But yeah, I don't know about profiling turn 10. My was biggest concern, if they're gonna do that and make it, because it makes it sort of faster in a way, right? Maybe they should do that. Maybe they should start looking at the chicane at turn 14 and 13 and 14. Maybe they need to start looking at that, because for me, that speaks to me like, oh, it's not needed. I don't really feel why it's needed anymore. For me, but what I will say is that it does add a different dimension to like how the cars behave. So you've got to sort of set it up with that in mind.
Yeah, it's not just a high-speed circuit. Then there's a low-speed element to it, and it's always a good indicator of that final sector as a look ahead to Monaco. So, you know, it can be telling. You know, you can, if you've got a car that's not so good through the high speed, but has got good traction, you might just be able to hold on to position if you've qualified really well. So that it does bring that element of strategy into it in terms of the car development.
Yeah, absolutely. And and obviously at the minute it's a massive development. Where you've seen Red Bull bring new parts already. I'm sure Mercedes have bought their own. Maybe not, maybe as much, but some. I mean, Barcelona's always been a place to bring development parts. Obviously, being a pre-season testing track, wasn't done for this season, but it's been known as that. Obviously, they've had less testing to do. They're going to have certain tests at some point during the season. There's also going to be there's obviously only 1 hour practice sessions, and you've now got this sprint qualifying coming into play. What do you make of the sprint qualifying? Are you in favour of that, or do you think it should be staying as it is?
Well, the only praise I can give it is that they're trialing it, and that's the right way to go about it. It's not like the elimination qualifying in 2016 where they just threw it at us and all of a sudden we had to cope with it. We're going to see it in action.
That only lasted one race. That lasted one. Like, nah, man, don't bother.
I mean, the thing with this as well, if it doesn't work at, I think they're using it at Silverstone, aren't they? So if it doesn't work there, we're taking it to Monza, and then it's a very different type of track. All of a sudden, okay, it works there, but then it doesn't work at the next one. So you go, okay, well, it works at tracks with low downforce, long straights, and potentially big braking.
So you could actually do it for certain circuits.
Yeah. So like they were saying, they might have that tailored approach to each circuit. So at Monaco, it might be 1 lap qualifying, like it was in the early 2000s, and then some races they do the current format, and then at others they do a sprint qualifying. I think they should do some reversing of the grid somewhere, because
no,
don't mention that.
Yeah, no. I don't mind it as such, but doing reversing grids and stuff like that, I only agree to that when it's like F2 and F3, because you want to see what the driver can do. And we all know, like with F2 and F3, they're all the same cars, so it's all down to the driver. So they reverse the grid to show, okay, you've won that feature race. Now you've got to prove how good you are overtaking. And you get someone like Charles Leclerc, like you see that special talent, being able to fight from 8th all the way up to 1st. So that's why, I really agree with it for those sort of Grand Prix, for those sort of formulas. But for F1, you're talking about not just reversing the grids to have the best drivers further down, maybe at the bottom of the top 10. But say if someone in the top 10 is a Haas or something, or a Williams or something like that. If you get stars that are much slower than the Mercedes, than the Red Bull, say like in the midfield somewhere, in that midfield battle, you could end up causing more damage than harm and more risk.
Yeah, there is that. They could be too slow and they could then get in the way. But then that is still also part of the challenge. And this is that classic debate about reverse grids. How far do you take it? I mean,
I think top 10 should be.
Do you reverse just the top 10? Do you reverse the whole lot? Do you reverse just the top 5?
I'd say, because I would say the points paying positions, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the marker. So like if you don't get in the second, if you don't get in the first, basically the first half of the grid, isn't it? So if you don't get the first half of the grid, tough luck. So yeah, that's probably why I do it.
It wouldn't work at Spain because you wouldn't be able to overtake.
No. Well, up to a certain point, maybe until you get some driver that's or some car that's quite well not that far off.
It would give the person who essentially qualified 10th and then starts on pole a massive advantage, because they in theory should be just about fast enough to hang on to the position.
Absolutely. But I don't know. I was talking about this earlier just on the stream about Mercedes being ahead. Do you think they are?
I think they have the fastest car. I think they're trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes by saying that Red Bull are faster. but I think they have the best car. And I think what they've had to do, because of the reset, not the reset, but the adjustment in regulations, they've had to make some changes, and now they're just trying to extract it. The performance is already in there. They've just got to perfect it and put it back into the zone. If you remember back in 2017, Ferrari had a much more compliant car, and Mercedes had that diva. But once they got it right, it was a monster. I think we're seeing something similar.
It was even 2018 as well.
Yeah, it carried over as well.
2018 was like, it was all right in Australia, but the Bahrain, and even it was Bahrain to about maybe Spain. It was struggling with tyre temps and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were overheating
and
tires.
then yeah, and then obviously they weren't great. It was never great in Monaco. Then it had its Canada was obviously because there was no fast engine. In France, it was all right.
Yeah.
Austria should have been fine.
They struggled in Austria. They got too hot, I think. They overheated.
No,
that was 2019.
That's 2019. What happened was the 2 DNFs.
Yes.
And they screwed up the strategy as well with Hamilton as well. And but I would say also is that, and then from back the British Grand Prix onwards, when Hamilton literally had to drive the crap out of the thing to get pole, it was Ferrari to about Russia. Ferrari was fun. And that's where you saw the best out of Hamilton. I've never seen Hamilton drive as good as that. Never seen it. Not even since then.
It brought the best out of him.
Yeah, and this is the thing that you've seen it in a minute. Bahrain Grand Prix. Now that one, I generally do think Red Bull were faster. They had 4/10 in the bag quite easily, and obviously having not Checo there because of problems with the car, it meant that Mercedes could basically work the strategy on them, on Verstappen, and get Hamilton in front. But then, to be honest, Red Bull sort of played into their hands by keeping them out longer. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, they looked a bit rusty on strategy. And again, they looked a bit rusty on strategy in Portugal, I think. Because they could have brought Checo in a lot earlier rather than just running and hoping for a safety car.
It's like Benetton and Williams in 95. I was watching a review there, and the 95 car Benetton was actually a great car. It was just the fact that they were so great on strategy.
They had a great strategy and a great driver.
Yeah, and a great driver. That could work the strategy. You could go fastest laps and put the pace in. Whereas Damon Hill and that, they just made too many mistakes, and had also too many DNFs as well. But obviously, with a car so reliable, you're more reliant on strategy. And again, Mercedes have just been so much more perfected in their strategy in a minute.
You'd think it'd be the other way around, because Mercedes have spent so long being out front, not being challenged, that they'd be a bit rusty with fighting someone else, whereas Red Bull are always trying to do something to upset Mercedes or fight off a Ferrari or a McLaren. But they've been the ones tripping over themselves in some ways this year, which has been frustrating.
That is frustrating, but it's like we said, if Red Bull don't butt their ideas up and they don't respond, if Hamilton gets on a run like he did in 2019, 2018, 2017, it would have been 2016 if it weren't for reliability issues. But I mean, and the fact that having a teammate run into him as well. And I love the fact that he was coming out saying that's Verstappen's realising just how good he is. He said, right, and what are you going to try and tell him to do? Run into him? Right?
Well, Rosberg knows firsthand exactly how good.
He knows exactly.
He had to resort to some questionable tactics to get the job done. But then again, no one can ever take it away from him that he is a world champion. And at the end of the day, these are high level sportsmen, and they have to do what they need to do to win. So if they have to go past track limits at corners that aren't being...
I get that, but then the reliability of Hamilton's car compared to his was shocking.
Yeah, he was super unlucky that year.
Absolutely shocking. but it's trying to obviously like keep it back. I mean, Hamilton's 2017, 2018, and 2019 and 2020 Spanish Grand Prix. He's usually when he actually back in the McLaren days struggled.
Yeah, they didn't have the downforce back then. They didn't have the car that suited it.
And even in when the time they did have it, 2012, they screwed up on the fuel.
Yeah. It's just McLaren things.
It's McLaren. They just made so many mistakes, and even 2013, and then as soon as it wanted to, like Mercedes came in with the dominant era, that he started dominating the Spanish Grand Prix, and he's won now the last 4 on the bounce. And but again, if Red Bulls don't respond, and I don't feel at the minute they're going to. At the minute, I actually don't feel it. And if that happens, this championship could be over very, very quickly.
It could be. And the thing is, if you look at it from Verstappen's point of view, he needs to bounce back now, because if he doesn't, we go to Monaco next. And I think it was 2018 when Red Bull had the fastest car there. And did he been in qualifying or in practice? But he could have been on for a pole position.
What was
that? In Monaco. So Verstappen, when he crashed in, I think it was 18.
18. Yeah, because he was going to, Ricardo got on.
Ricardo ended up taking the pole and the win. And Verstappen, I think he started like last or something. So if you put him under that amount of pressure, he could be in trouble again in terms of having to do something really almost risky at Monaco. And if that gets away from him, that's more points down the drain. And then they go to Azerbaijan and...
Yeah. What do you make of Max Verstappen?
It's fast, but I think we're about to see something. We're going to see him put into a position where he's not been yet. And I'm really interested to see how he copes with it. Because his story is very similar to Vettel's. Before this year, I actually read Mark Webber's book, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things about Helmut Marko and how controlling he is. It's almost like Christian Horner's a puppet for him. And Helmut gets in the ear of Dietrich Mateschitz and says, we want to do it this way, and they go that way instead. So seeing Verstappen given all this treatment of being preferred and almost promoted as this savior of Red Bull just seems very similar to Vettel. So it's really interesting to see how he responds, because Vettel, his one flaw has always been, if you put him under enough pressure, he will crack. So does Max have that same flaw? Is that something that the Red Bull system puts you into such a cacophony of pressure that you are inevitably going to crack at some point?
I wouldn't say so, because he has risen quite a few times. And whenever Mercedes have made mistakes, he's taken the opportunities. I will say that. But now he's got, like I've said in a previous podcast with DNF1, and everyone goes to subscribe to them because they're brilliant. They'll be back on the Check the Flag show. Again, hope we could have you on for that as well. We said this, and when we said that he needs to start winning races that he's expected to win. So like Imola, he's expected to win that Grand Prix. Everyone was going in there thinking, Red Bull, Max Verstappen, suits their car, bang, done deal. Whereas it was you're struggling with that, because unlike where you've got Red Bull and where you've got Mercedes and Hamilton, where if you've got a circuit where Hamilton's expected to just dominate, you just expect it be done by the end of
more often than not, it does.
Yeah, so obviously this is a new territory for Max Verstappen. The fact that you've now got the car, mate, you've now got to go and deliver the goods. So there's no more excuses for, oh yeah, but we haven't got this, we haven't got that, we ain't quite there, we ain't quite there. So for me, it's Max Verstappen is that, the pressure will it get too much? I don't know. We can only see as the season, because the more the season goes on, and the more Hamilton starts dominating, the more the pressure will get. And even if he's not dominating and they're so close between each other, still the pressure's so. And Hamilton's been there. He's done it. He's done it with Rosberg. He's done it with Massa. I mean, Massa, he did it with Alonso and Raikkonen and Massa. And to be honest, he would have won that championship, that first championship of his rookie season, if it weren't for Brazil, because of the reliability issues. So he's been there and done it. And that's why I say at the moment, experience will win over youth.
Yeah, exactly. Max has got to go through that learning curve of a championship fight. It's very difficult to go into that at the first time of asking and come out victorious, especially against a driver of Hamilton's standard.
This is what I agree with as well, because I mean, you saw after Portimao after qualifying, and you saw like after Turkey after qualifying as well. It's like he's like hiding away, like upset with himself and sulking in a way.
Yeah,
and you're like, mate, you can't show that. You can't. You've got to be stronger than that. You've got to hide it, right?
Yeah. You can't give Hamilton an inch.
Because if Hamilton looks at that, as much as Hamilton might say he's a nice guy, he'd be like that. I've got you where I want you.
Yeah.
Right? You're cracking already. You need to take the emotion away. Take the emotion away. You need to drown that out. And even Hamilton was victim of that when he first turned up. The emotion was there, and when you get off, maybe when you get
Hamilton as well, the emotion got in the way at times, because he felt like the reliability was solely aimed at him almost. And now he's in that better place mentally. He's able to just go and deliver and extract maximum performance. So if Max is allowed to show those emotions and Red Bull don't close him off to those and make him be more dispassionate about those sort of things.
Horner needs to get him and say, look, you can't do that. You've got to take that away.
Yeah.
If you're going to fight this guy, you've got to take it away. That's got to go now. If you want to fight for this, you've got to stop doing that. Otherwise, he's going to have you wherever he wants you.
Yeah.
Right? You're letting him win by doing that. That's what you're doing.
You saw what happened to Vettel once he came off second best. He's just gone on a slippery slope.
Yeah. And I mean, even in the Aston Martin, I don't even think the Aston Martin is that good of a car, to be honest.
No,
it's so I maybe not have a go at Vettel too much on that, but it's like you said with Vettel, and he used to be solely dominant. He used to even be like, I remember Nürburgring, he was so under pressure and he won that Grand Prix.
Yeah.
There was many Grand Prix he was under pressure and he won that Grand Prix. But Abu Dhabi 2010, I mean, he was one of the most person under pressure apart from Hamilton. Hamilton was further behind, but he was like, I've got to win this Grand Prix and pray that something happens. And God forbid it did. Right? So, but that's pressure. That is massive pressure. You've got to go and win that Grand Prix. Everyone else, you've got to go and do it. The crash kid, as they called him that season, you've got to go and do it. And he did it. And by virtue of everyone else, he won it. So, and from then on, he dominated.
Yeah, so it brought him a load of confidence. And I think you'll see a similar thing with Max. Hang on 1 second. I'm just going to turn my light on because he can't see me.
Yeah. That's better.
I'm back, guys. You can see me now. I mean, if you take Max for example,
he's been in Singapore. Now he's paid the meter for the Singapore meter. He's turned them on.
Yeah, put the penny in the meter. If Max gets on a roll and starts winning races, I think we're going to see a driver build confidence within himself and be really difficult to stop in a way that Hamilton is. But I think if it goes the other way, it could also spiral.
I think what he needs this weekend is fastest lap, pole position, the Grand Slam. He needs to dominate, top every qualifying session. Hit from now on, top practice 3. From now on, top qualifying. From now on, top the race, fastest lap, everything. Walk it, just to blow them apart.
Yeah,
that because that only I think only
business.
That will then, because it's you're then going into Monaco, right? And you need confidence in Monaco, right? And
well, anything can happen in Monaco.
Anything can happen in Monaco, and I do expect Red Bull that if Red Bull don't perform there, then there is alarm bells. There is serious alarm bells going on.
They've put some upgrades on the car that have either taken it the wrong way or they're not extracting the maximum from it, which would be worrying probably even more so, because I think having a car that you understand and are able to get the most out of is better than having a car that you're constantly upgrading, because in that way it's ever changing.
I mean, what do you make of obviously the new rules coming in, obviously with budget caps, everyone's focused. I mean, Haas, look at them, they're focusing on completely next year, and I don't feel sorry for Mazepin, as I call him, right? I mean, again, he spins off 4 minutes into a session, he's spinning off already, right? This guy is a liability. This guy is the Mikel Arteta of Haas F1 team. I'm telling you now, he is a liability. But actually, no, Arteta is actually worse, so I'll give him that. But right, because he actually finished the race once.
One time.
yeah, he did actually finish the Grand Prix. So, but
he was a minute behind Mick Schumacher though, which was worrying.
Yeah, but he's still in his job. He won a Grand Prix. He finished a Grand Prix. Right?
Yeah.
That Arteta couldn't finish anything. I'm still fuming. You can banter me later. Yes.
I think with the budget cap, I think it's the right thing to do, because it provides a more level playing field, which means
what do you make of
more competition? So the teams that are excelling. So if you take Racing Point, for example, they're getting the most for their money, for what they develop. That means that their car will be able to perform at a higher level, whereas Mercedes were able to just spend their way out of their problems with a massive budget.
They can't do that now.
They can't do that. And Toto even referenced it after the Imola crash with Bottas, that it's going to put them close to the budget cap. So wrecking a car is going to have significant consequences, not just for the smaller teams with the smaller budgets, but for the big teams as well. So that they run the risk of running into issues with the FIA of points deductions or warnings, and that can all add up. So the pressure that would then put onto the management of the team, the mechanics to get things right, the drivers.
For fuck's sake, right? You're not helping, right? Because if Hamilton fucks this up, he's gonna have to go into 2022 and try and do it there, right? For God's sake. And he's already said, I want to stay. So, oh my God. This is gonna work out well, you know that. But yeah, I mean, I like the look of the rules. If the rules saying that it's going to be about 20% percent loss and downforce, right, with ground effect, but a much restricted level. We did another podcast on the rules, and then all well for it, because you've seen how they've even tried to restrict the rear downforce now.
Yeah.
Right, with the tapered sort of design, and then all of a sudden teams are like, yeah, we're not that stupid, we'll just cut it in two and just put a step in there, right? And then
they'll always find a way through.
It was immediately they've clocked it on and just gone, yeah, if we just do that and then just straighten it up, and then we could put devices on each side, right, we'll get it back.
But then that's part of the beauty of Formula One is
but
it was designing.
They originally did it to slow them down because it was getting a bit dangerous. It was getting a bit on the limit. So in terms of how much downforce production they were producing, and it was insane how much they were producing.
They were breaking the records that have been standing since 2004.
Well, easily. but the records were probably being back the year before, but even last year's ones were then getting smashed before even longer than that, and they're already back up to pretty much the pace of last season. So if you were, you might as well just not have bothered. You might as well just not have bothered.
Just give Aston Martin their downforce back. It's fine.
Yeah, just give it. Do you know what? Give them the brake system back as well. Because that was the treat, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it's like you said, there's so much. If obviously, because Red Bull and Mercedes are going at this championship, Mercedes is going to be looking at this. Is like, if we can get this Grand Prix, right? Hamilton is just gone, and we don't have to worry about anything because he'll just go, and he'll take off, right? And then before you know it, he's won Monaco, he's won Spain, he's won Monaco, he's won Canada or Azerbaijan, whichever the ones after that I can't remember. It's off the top of my head.
It's not Canada because that's been cancelled.
Oh yeah, Turkey then. Turkey. He won Turkey, so I expect Turkey. So Turkey. Right. I expect him to just breeze these next races. If he gets on, if he wins the next Grand Prix, then God help Red Bull.
Yeah, Max will be in a bit of trouble. He'll be in a position where he absolutely has to win at Monaco. Otherwise, he's facing a real uphill struggle. And by that point, we'll only be, 5 races down out of 23?
I think the only thing that's blessed him at the minute is that he's finished second by Hamilton. Yeah. One time with the fastest lap. No, one time with Hamilton as the fastest lap. Right? So that's the one blessing he's had out of it. That they've both finished second on either. So if Max Verstappen's won, he's finished second, or if Hamilton's won, he's finished second. So that's the only blessing he can take out of it at the minute.
Yeah, and he needs to hope that that's worst case scenario. He's finishing second to Lewis, but he needs to be finishing first ahead of Lewis, and ideally someone in between them if he wants to really build some momentum. Because you've got to knock Lewis out of his stride, and you've got to keep knocking him off his stride. Because if you let him rebuild that momentum, then you're going to be in trouble because he'll soon catch up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But then, to be honest, people could flip this and say, "Yeah, but look at what Hamilton did in Imola. He made a mistake."
Yeah, he did.
And that's the thing. If Red Bull hit back, then it's down. It's thrown. The ball's then thrown in Hamilton's court. Said, "Okay, how much pressure can you cope with?"
Exactly. And that's what we want to see. We want to see both of them trying to handle that pressure and deliver the best result at the same time.
Yeah, of course. But it's like I've kept saying to everyone, and I've known people that are back Red Bull and are backing not just brethren, but I know other people that I will not mention their names because I don't like them anymore. I'll tell you about that in another time or something else. But they were like, Max Verstappen's gonna walk it. He's this, that. Right, Hamilton, he's past it. Whatever. Max Verstappen's gonna just walk him, and I said all the time, Max Verstappen will only beat Hamilton when Hamilton's hanged up his boots. Right? Experience will beat youth because he has not lost it.
I think Hamilton will come out on top. Max has got a real struggle on. He might lose if he loses out this year. He'll learn so much and make him such a better driver.
Honestly, that's what I'd love to see is that. And then what I'd love to see then is Russell get in that car next season. I don't maybe think Mercedes will keep hold of that championship next season though. Right, going into if the Hamilton decided after this season, he's won the title, he's 8 times world champion, he's the most successful Grand Prix driver without a doubt. You can't question it, and especially with the hardest challenge of Max Verstappen that's been pushed all the way to the penultimate race. So you can then say, look, Hamilton can then say, yeah, I want to call it quits. Right? Even if he's had said he wants to go into next year, you know, I want to go. I'm done now. You couldn't blame him for that, right? Because what he's done for the sport, what he's contributed to sport, what he's doing right now for the sport in terms of equality, diversity. I've even heard some people try and question that. I don't care. That's what he's doing, and he's absolutely in his rights to do that. Everyone should deserve the like. I mean, the We Racers one. It's all started from him speaking up.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone deserves a chance to be
whether
included.
You're poor, race, gender, religion, whatever. Right? You should all have a chance to be in F1, right?
Yeah.
And I'd love to see more black drivers in there. I'd love to see more. Don't like to use ethnic backgrounds, but diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
In the sport, as well as women in the sport as well. Why shouldn't they get a shout? So they drive just as good. So yeah, I totally. I've always backed sort of Hamilton on that. Always done, and at least unlike the FA, you could say, or UEFA, they're trying to implement change.
Yeah,
right. They are actually trying to implement change. You can see it. So there's no question that something is trying to be done. It's a long way to go, but there is something that's trying to be done. Where like the FA will just make up another banner or a protest or another campaign or whatever. The FIA will do something for once, and
that's because they can see it's being led directly by the star of the show. He's the big draw. He's the box office attraction.
I think if he wasn't at the back of the grid, he wouldn't be getting a look in, to be honest.
No, exactly. No. So it's because it's the big name and it's a big brand associated with it in Mercedes, and what they've done to help him with that is it really stands out. So the FIA have had to take notice and go, yeah, okay, we need to up our game here as well.
I mean, as much as I love to say like the black livery is great on the F1 car, but I'm glad it's there because it's a message, and it's always a message every time that goes out onto the grid.
It's more than a colour on the car.
Yeah, the We Racers one, the diversity, the equality, everything. I do love the fact you've got freaking Mazepin there, right? That makes a lot of sense. Irony. You're doing this, and I'm like, why are you there? Honestly, you might as well just stay at the back of the grid because you don't obviously say this. But yeah. What do you make of? What do you make of because I mentioned about Ferrari and McLaren going for third. This is what I can see coming out of the midfield at the minute between Leclerc, Sainz, and Ricciardo Norris, which I think is two of the best lineups on the grid. What was you thinking? Do you think it's between them two third, or do you think someone else has a shout?
Initially, like before Portugal, I thought it was. I thought it had already gone down to them because AlphaTauri had blown a couple of really good opportunities. But their car's fast, and it's going to be a real thorn in their side at some places. I wouldn't put it past Gasly to end up on the podium at a race where there's a bit more chaos than normal. But then you look at Alpine; they've performed well in Portugal. They performed well again in practice today. How far can they take their car?
Their low car ones are very good.
Yeah. I mean, Ocon and Alonso have both got a point to prove. Ocon to keep his seat, Alonso to prove that he's still got it. So they're both going to be driving the wheels off the thing. So they could all be in amongst it. But I think ultimately McLaren are going to come out on top. They look like they've got the best balanced package. They've got the best power unit. Ferrari are coming back, but they're not going to be... I think they'll turn attention away from this year earlier than others. They'll look to get a jump start on everyone for 2022 and sort of launch themselves back into victory contention there.
Well, I met Lando when I went to the F1 paddock for that Grand Prix and for the paddock club and that. and he was answering questions and that. And nice enough guy, but this guy's a talent. This guy is a real talent.
He's really
and I'm talking. Obviously, George Russell can only do what he can in a Williams, and he nearly got into. I mean, the hour nearly got into Q3 in Portimao. I don't know, but
magic.
Obviously, it must be. But obviously, it does show that the Williams is a much faster car than the Haas is, and Haas are going to end up back at the grid for sure. But what I do love is the fact that I feel that you're going to see George Russell in the Mercedes. You're going to see Lando probably still at McLaren, actually, because McLaren could end up profiting from this new rules. Leclerc's leading Sainz because he's their hope for the future. They'll bring in Mick Schumacher to replace Sainz at some point. So you'll see the two of them, and that'll be interesting between the two of them. Because how do Ferrari pick one or the other? So, but
it depends who's winning. If you're winning in a red car, you're Player of the Month. We saw that with Raikkonen and Massa.
Yeah, it does. And I will say, and like I said, is that, so you got them two, and then you've got Max in the Red Bull, and I think they're all just as good as each other, to be honest. Max will probably get the ideal learning curve from this season, but Lando and Leclerc and Russell, in terms of talent, are just as up there as just as up there as Max Verstappen, to be honest.
Yeah, that's quite a foursome. If you think you put them in different cars or two of them in the same team, and they're all fairly close on performance, that's going to be some contest to see who can come out on top between the four of them. You know, you could conceivably see, I could see Lando ending up at Ferrari if they were to make a play for him. I don't think he would, but McLaren will want to keep hold of him. He's their beacon of hope for the future, and they're getting back on their feet. But then you could also see Russell leading Mercedes. Obviously, he'd have a bit of learning to do once he gets in there. And there's so many top drivers around. You look at Schumacher at Haas; he's doing really well there, beating his teammate. And at the moment, and that's all. Ends up next to Leclerc. How does he fare against Charles? And where does Sainz end up? Because I think Sainz is a massively underrated talent.
Yeah, I actually do. He's very underrated. Bit unlucky not to win the Italian Grand Prix, but then Gasly was in his rights to win that one as well. And Pierre Gasly had such a revival as well, and I'd love to see how he gets on this season. Because fights enough and Perez struggles, then you never know. Could be back in the Red Bull, but
I don't see that happening. I think he burnt some bridges, and they.
I do. I don't think he'll probably, even if he went back to Red Bull, you get the same trust that he might have had the first time around. So I don't think he would. I don't think he would take it. He might say he does, but I think if he gets an offer somewhere else, and he probably will do.
I think he's heading to Alpine.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to go to Alpine.
French car, first driver, yeah.
I think they're going to have a French super team because I just think Alonso is going to run into a patch where he goes, I don't want to do this anymore. And they'll be forced to keep Ocon.
Yeah. Absolutely. Give you predictions then for qualifying and a race.
So I think Hamilton will get pole, and I think it'll be a Hamilton Verstappen front row with Bottas behind in third. And then in the race, I think it'll be Hamilton, Verstappen, and Perez on the podium.
Okay. Just quickly going to put Max is just as fast and has got good. He's read that one. I'm not really bothered about football. Big up. Big up Talk Manu as usual. Doing all the overlays and everything for this channel. I can't thank them enough as usual. But yeah, I'm gonna go for. What am I gonna go for? Hamilton on pole. I want Hamilton to get his 100th pole.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love to say, yeah, I don't mind it if he got it in Britain, but I love
It's too far away.
Yeah, it's too far away. I want it now. I want it now.
You can't ask Hamilton not go.
I want him to win Monaco, and the only way he's going to win Monaco is if he gets pole position.
Yeah.
So that's out the window. It's pole, and then I would have Max Verstappen splitting the Mercedes with. No, actually, I'm going to throw Perez in there, actually, third on the grid. You know?
Ahead of Bottas?
Yeah, ahead of Bottas. And I know nothing against Bottas. I just want to throw it in there as a little thing into the mix. And see what comes out of turn one after that. If that's the case, Bottas needs to get ahead of Perez by turn one. Otherwise, it could be a very difficult afternoon for Hamilton. Because I think that Perez could try easily back off Bottas or play some sort of strategy with Bottas to keep him out of the way while Max Verstappen deals with Hamilton. But then for the race, I do feel that it'd be a mighty battle, like probably Vettel and Hamilton in 2017, all the way through. And I do think Mercedes, because of their better strategy, will come out on top because so far they've been the better on strategy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd say Hamilton over Verstappen again. And that's not because of Hamilton biasry. It's because I certainly see Mercedes better at their strategy in a minute.
I think the track suits Mercedes more.
Yeah, and that as well. So, and the only reason I say Verstappen is second because I know he can outperform that Red Bull quite easily. So, but yeah, well, we'll wait and see. Obviously, qualifying is tomorrow at 1:30. 12 p.m. I'm doing my usual video of F1's Perfect Formula, which is F1's greatest racing machines. We've done what we've done. What did we do? I can't remember now. I can't remember now. Oh yeah, the MP44, and we've done the F1W05 hybrid. So the 2014 Mercedes, and then we've got tomorrow. I've done two because it's basically the same car, just with a bit of horsepower, but more horsepower, which is the 14 WB and the 15W, the FW15C.
Yeah.
92, 93 Williams with all the active suspension gizmos and stuff. But yeah, if you want to tune into that, but as you're more than welcome to, I've got the watch alongs as usual for qualifying race. At least there'll be watch alongs. I'll be happy to watch along too, rather than the football. I mean, you can give it your best shot now because I'm not going to the end of this.
No, I'm above that. I know the pain. Don't worry.
Fair play. Okay, I'll take that and run.
Right, I'm all out of Arsenal bantering because my boss is an Arsenal fan, so I banter him at work all day, so it's fine.
Tell me he's Arteta out.
I haven't asked him that actually. I'll ask him next time.
I think you might need to. I think he probably is Arteta. I've only found one person that he's actually Arteta in still, and that is it. I mean, even the staunchest Arteta ins are now turning out. It's just unreal. And I'm just sitting there. Yeah, I told you so. I told you so. From the North London Derby, I told you so. So, right, the first North London Derby days. But yeah. Like I said, I've got my watch alongs, and then obviously there'll be a Grand Prix review on the Monday. But pleasure to have you on as usual. To have a chat off air just quickly afterwards, and then everyone do hit the like button, do hit the subscribe button, do hit the share button, go subscribe to the 5 Red Lights YouTube channel. and make sure you keep subscribing to SFeatleyTV and supporting Children's Liver Disease Foundation. Until then, guys, check up tomorrow at 12. Bye bye.